Hi everyone, this is Kevin here, and this is the Umidigi F2. And in this video, we're going to be going over the 5 best and 5 worst things about the phone. So let's get started. So this is the Umidigi F2, one of the latest budget smartphones from Umidigi. And I've got to say, so far, after being able to use this phone for a couple of days, I am very impressed with it. In fact, I think this is one of the best phones that Umidigi has ever put out. And I've used a lot of their various devices in the past, including the Umidigi F1, the predecessor to this phone, the Umidigi Power, Umidigi X, Umidigi A5 Pro, and even more. So I have quite a bit of experience with this brand. But let's first talk about the 5 best things about this phone, with number 1 being the display. So this probably isn't too surprising if you're watching this video right now, because you can probably see how good this display looks. Now the phone features a very large 6.53-inch display at 1080p. The display itself is an LCD display, but still looks really crisp and clear with nice colors overall. We're getting a 395 ppi with the device, and a 19.5:9 aspect ratio. So a narrow but tall display, which makes this device great for watching video content, going on social media, and browsing the web. For example, on apps like Instagram, the 19.5:9 aspect ratio allows you to fit a lot more of your feed into the display, so you'll be able to see more with less scrolling. In addition to that, this phone features a very good screen-to-body ratio with very small bezels, and we even have a hole punch for the front-facing camera situated on the left side of the display. So you're getting a very immersive viewing experience with this device, and that's why the display with the Umidigi F2 is definitely one of my favorite things about the phone. Now coming at number 2 is the storage. So I'm a big fan of the amount of storage that you get with the phone. You're getting 128 gigabytes of internal storage, and if that's not enough for you, you can even put in a micro SD card to expand that storage. Now, in case you're not aware, the iPhone 11, which is significantly more money than this device, coming in at a base price of $699, still comes with a 64 gigabyte base model variant. So the base model and the only model of the Umidigi F2 gives you twice the amount of internal storage as the base model iPhone 11, which really shows that you're getting a lot of value here with the Umidigi F2. Coming in at number 3 is the processor. Now the device features the MediaTek Helio P70 processor, and if you're not aware, MediaTek's Helio line of processors is much better than other processors that they put out in the past, and the P70 is certainly a really nice mid-range processor. So expect good, smooth performance with the phone, and I even ran an Antutu benchmark test, and I got really good results with that test. So I got an overall score of 179,968, which is definitely pretty impressive and a lot better than most other phones that I cover here on the channel in this price range. So I'm really glad that they did give the phone the Helio P70. It's a great processor and overall is going to give you very nice performance. Now I've got to give a shout out, of course, to the fact that the phone does have 6 gigabytes of RAM. Pairing up 6 gigs of RAM with the Helio P70 is certainly the way to go. My 4th favorite thing about the Umidigi F2 are the cameras. So with the phone, you're getting a quad camera setup. So a 48 megapixel main camera, a 5 megapixel depth sensing camera for portrait mode, a 13 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, and a 5 megapixel macro camera. So let me show you first what the main camera looks like, and then I'll switch over to the ultra wide. Actually, I was just on the ultra wide, but you can see here's how things look with the main camera. So you can easily take photos with it that look nice. But then from there, you can switch over to the ultra wide angle camera to fit way more content into the frame. The ultra wide angle mode is especially nice if you're on vacation and want to take pictures of different buildings, and you can just fit in a lot more into your pictures. So I don't recommend taking every photo with ultra wide angle, but kind of mix it up a little bit. Take some photos with the main 48 megapixel setting, take some with the ultra wide angle mode, take some with macro mode, and then of course some with portrait mode as well. But I'll switch over to macro mode to give you an idea of what that's like, but essentially you just have to get really close to the object, and then you can take some pretty interesting close-up pictures. And then the front-facing camera is 32 megapixels, which is definitely pretty impressive as well. Now I do want to mention though, and I guess technically this is a negative and not a positive, but there is no portrait mode with the front-facing camera, which is a bit unfortunate. But besides that, you're getting a lot of different camera features with this phone that definitely makes it a nice contender to other devices such as the Samsung Galaxy A51. And of course, there are tons of features about this phone that I like a lot, but out of my top 5, number 5 definitely has to be the battery. So with the Umidigi F2, we're getting a very beefy 5,150 milliamp hour internal battery. Yes, you heard that right, 5,150 milliamp hours. So a lot of battery capacity, but you're still getting a pretty slim profile too. And if you're worried about how long it's going to take to recharge that battery, the phone is actually compatible with 18-watt fast charging. So that's definitely a great thing and will allow you to charge up that massive battery a lot quicker. Let's now go over the 5 worst things about the Umidigi F2. Now keep in mind, these are definitely things that are not extremely significant. The phone has a lot going for it, and it was difficult to come up with a list of 5 things that I wish were different, but I did manage to come up with some, so let me know what you think in the comment section below. The first thing that I wish was different with the Umidigi F2 is that I wish the phone had an AMOLED display. So other devices, such as the Samsung Galaxy A51 and Samsung Galaxy A20, as well as the Umidigi X, all feature AMOLED displays and not LCD displays like what we're getting with the Umidigi F2. So the problem with LCD is that the viewing angles are not nearly as good as AMOLED, so you really have to view the phone straight on to get the best viewing experience overall. AMOLED also looks a lot better outdoors too, so I'm just generally a big fan of Super AMOLED displays, and I do wish we had that with the Umidigi F2. It would make this awesome phone even better. My second worst thing about the Umidigi F2 is that the phone does not have official Verizon or Sprint support. Now, if you do put a Verizon SIM card in the phone, you will get some functionality, but it is not an official Verizon certified device. Now, there are other factory unlocked phones out there, like the Hot Pepper Ghost, for example, that does have a Verizon certification. So I wish Umidigi would go the extra step to get that certification to make sure that this phone is completely optimized for Verizon. Of course, it's going to work really well with GSM carriers like AT&T and T-Mobile, and other carriers under those like Cricket and Metro by T-Mobile and Mint Mobile. And in fact, I'm actually using the phone with Cricket Wireless right now, and it does work really well with voice over LTE compatibility as well. So definitely if you use a GSM carrier, it's going to work great with the Umidigi F2. But I wish this phone did have official support for all 4 major US carriers. It would certainly make this device even more useful. The third worst thing about the Umidigi F2 is that the phone does not feature wireless charging. Now, I understand that wireless charging is not very common with budget phones, but there are some other devices such as the Bold N1, which retails at $199, and that does have wireless charging. So I feel like they could have implemented it with the Umidigi F2 if they wanted to. And I know that Umidigi has had other phones in the past that have also had wireless charging, so it's not like the company has never done wireless charging before. So I would have liked to see that with the F2. I know not everyone uses wireless charging, but I personally have quite a few wireless chargers, and I do use them with the various phones that I have that are compatible with it. The fourth worst thing about the Umidigi F2 is software support. Now, I do like that the phone does come with Android 10 out of the box. That's definitely a really excellent thing to see there, and I'm very happy about it. But unfortunately, we're still stuck on an older Android security patch. So by going over to security in the settings, you can see what security patch the device is on, and you can see the latest security update is October 5th of 2019. Now, at the time of me recording this video, we do have a January 2020 security patch, but this phone has not received it. And if history repeats itself, like we've seen with other Umidigi devices in the past, they really don't deploy any security patches at all. Now, I understand that that's one of the things you have to accept by going with a budget phone, but I know that other companies such as Motorola and Samsung are actually pretty good about deploying occasional security patches with their Android devices. So I definitely think that's something that Umidigi should do moving forward, starting with the F2. But I really wouldn't count on getting any security patches at all, and if you do get any, they're not going to be that often. Now, despite that, I have gotten some software updates in the past couple of days addressing various bugs with the device. So that should be, ideally, the perfect opportunity for them to tie in the latest security patches with Android 10 as well, but unfortunately they haven't done that. And you'd think it'd be pretty easy too, since the phone does run a stock version of Android. I think it would be really cool as well to see Umidigi go with Android 1 in the future, like Nokia does, because I think that's the best way to go overall. But let me know what you think about that. And then finally, my last worst thing about the Umidigi F2 is that the phone does not support 4K video recording. Now this might be a limitation with the MediaTek Helio P70, but I know that other devices, such as the Samsung Galaxy A51, do support 4K video recording. And even other phones like the Moto G7 can also record videos at 4K. So it would have been nice to see that with the Umidigi F2. But that's not a huge deal breaker for me. I know that the actual display on the phone itself is 1080p. So even if you did take 4K videos, you couldn't really view them on this phone. But with so many people nowadays having 4K TVs, it would be cool to be able to record 4K content with the Umidigi F2 and then play it on those TVs. So in general, I think the Umidigi F2 is a very awesome device. It has so many great features and so many things going for it that I couldn't really include in the top 5. Other things I like about this device include the side-mounted fingerprint sensor, which is really quick and responsive. I like the colors that this phone comes in. I think this blue color is especially sharp, and it features a very premium build overall. You certainly wouldn't think that this phone is only $249.99 by holding it. So Umidigi did a great job at designing this device. As far as the rest of the layout goes, also on the right side of the phone we have the volume button. Then on the left we have the slot for the microSD card and SIM card. And then on the top there's nothing. And then on the bottom we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, a microphone, a USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and we have the speaker. Now here's what the phone looks like next to the iPhone 11. I know that earlier in the video I did talk about how we're getting twice the amount of internal storage with the F2 compared to the base model 64GB iPhone 11. And that's definitely something to consider there, and pretty hilarious to be honest. But you can see here's how the devices are up next to each other. You're getting a much larger display overall with the F2 compared to the iPhone 11. And you can see that the iPhone 11 really is starting to look very old-fashioned with this massive notch at the top. So you can see how big the notch is on the iPhone 11 compared to the tiny hole punch for the front-facing camera on the Umidigi F2. But overall, I'm really curious about your thoughts about the Umidigi F2. I think it's definitely one of the more exciting devices to come out so far in 2020. And I'm definitely looking forward to making a lot more content about the device. But this is Kevin here. Give the video a thumbs up if you're considering buying the Umidigi F2, or if you just want to check out the current pricing, then check out the link in the video description. But I will see you in the next video.